Hello, and thank you for taking a trial of the Service Tracker system. This tutorial is going to show you how to set yourself up, get yourself logged in, a few of the features of the system, and ultimately how to load your jobs and your contracts ready for completion. What you will have is an email from Salesforce welcoming you to the system and allowing you to click verify. This may be in your spam folder, so look out for that. Salesforce is our partner, so the emails will come from Salesforce. When you click verify, you'll be prompted to add a password and a security question. Just make sure you look at the username that has been created and just remember the password that you're setting. If you do forget the login details, you can always come to our website, click on resources, click on Service Tracker login, and then you can either contact us or you can click login to Service Tracker, and then that will then allow you to log straight in. Once you do get logged into the system, the first thing you're going to see is your home page. This is going to be customized, so we can add dashboards, we can change things around, and we can make it our own. But before we do anything, what I need you to do is click on the grid and then click on Service Tracker. Here's a home page that I've actually customized already, and the way I do that is by clicking on the cog and saying edit page. So I want the information on my home page to be more relevant to me, so I've removed a few things that I didn't need. I've moved things around, so you can just drag and drop, for example. You could add a dashboard, for example, using the components on the left and dragging them onto the page. You could also add a report if you wanted to, by just dragging that onto the page. And then I can just select which report I want to run. So show me overdue visits, for example. When you've made all the changes and you've dragged and dropped and you're happy with how it looks, then you can just go ahead and click save, and it will prompt you to activate and assign as the default page layout. Just do that and then click your back button. So now we're in the system. At the very top you have a search box, which is a bit like a Google search. It will search the entire system for whatever you put in. So if I was to put in a postcode, for example, that would run away and find me a related account. If I was to put in a particular price book or a report type, like overdue, for example, it will search all my overdue reports. I could search for a technician, for example. It acts the same way that Google does. It'll search the entire system. Okay, your search results on the left hand side, and then in the middle, then if it's underlined and it's blue, you can click on it and then that will open up the record. So for example, let's go back to my postcode search, find an account, and then I can just click on my client record, and then I'm into the detail. Anything that's blue and underlined, you can click and it will open something within the system. If you get stuck, just click on the home page and you're back then where you started. Over on the right hand side, we touched on this little cog where you can go into setup. This is where you can then customize your system. You can add new fields, you can add new page layouts. I'm not going to be doing that in this tutorial. We are available if you do need help on that area. There is a help page at the top, so this will help you how to show you how to create new users, update pages, things like that. You can spend a long time on this, familiarizing yourself with all the various bits and pieces, or you can call our support team. The top right hand side is where you can then view your profile. You can go into your settings, you can update your username, your nickname, whatever you want to do. The one good thing about this is that you can click onto your at the right hand side, click into settings, and then you can actually grant access to us. So you could say grant account login access to Service Tracker support for a day, 3 days, 1 week, and then we can actually log into the system for you, change things around, add things like a brand new service report, which we'll come on to, and develop you new reports. So that's right profile, grant login access. I'm going to click back on my home page now, and we're going to go through the tabs at the top. The first thing we've got is the calendar. So I can click onto my calendar, and this is really where I can see all the visits within my system. I can start to move things around, so it's got drag and drop, for example, right click, edit, and also clicking into a square I can create new visits, so call outs, jobs, contracts and things. Call outs are for existing customers, so this will be part of their contract. If it's any chargeable work, then it's a job. You would do that for perhaps a domestic wasp removal, or you could do it as part of a 3-part riddance. Contracts are then your routine works, which you just want to schedule once and allow the system to keep spitting out visits. You can show and hide various visit types. You can click into the mini calendar to go to a specific day, and you can see the key on the top right hand side will show you what the types of visits are that you're looking at in the calendar. You can select various users, or you can select groups of users depending on the views that you've got here. Clicking onto one of the calendar entries opens up the visit detail record. Within the visit detail record, you'll be able to see the visit number, which is always unique, who the visit's assigned to, the due start and finish dates, and then all the details which are going to be available to you via the mobile. The mobile side is available from Google Play or the Apple Store. You download it and it's the exact same login details you use to get into this side of the system. On this page are all the questions that are going to be asked, ready for you to complete the service report, including things like adding a follow-up, quote and payment details. You can also add things like attachments, photos, capture signatures and action plans via the mobile. There is another tutorial of that on our YouTube channel. For now, I'm going to come back out of here and I'm going to go back onto the calendar. What we're going to do, we're going to start off by creating a brand new job. So I'm going to pick on the Today view, have a look at the times, and then just grab one of the events and say new job. This takes me through to the new job wizard. So I'm going to create a brand new customer. It then searches the entire system and says, I can't find that customer. You have to create it. And it gives you all the fields which you need to fill in to be able to create the customer. If on the other hand it was an existing customer, when you search for it, it will find it and say, is this the customer you were looking for? And you can select yes. So we're going to create a brand new one. Click next. I'm going to fill in all the details. I'm going to put in the industry type. Where did I hear about this particular customer? Or rather, where did they hear about us? Territory is UK. We haven't set that up yet. The price book, you've only got one standard price book. Billing reference, portal reference, name, last name, email address. Make sure you got the email address because that's the email you're going to be sending the finished treatment report to. You then click next and it says, do you want to create a site? If they're one and the same, you can tick the box. If you wanted to create a brand new site and the previous record was just the billing address, then you can do. It's just following the same process. I'm going to say it's the same and click next. This then asks me to create the job. So I'm going to create it for today and I can put it on for 2:30 It's going to take me probably 2 hours, and it's going to be for just a job. I can put in the job detail and any internal notes, and select any items covered. Usually you do this for contract work, so you can leave that blank. You can then say how many visits this is going to take. So you leave the default as one daily, so I'm going every day for 1 day. If I wanted a 3-part riddance, I could go 3, and then I could say, well, I'm going to go every week, so once a week. Or I could say every 5 days, for example. So I select the number of visits, and then I select the interval and frequency. I can select my response time, so if I do get a call out or I need to put any particular baits down, then I can say I need to be back within 12 hours, or you can just say it's not applicable. There's lots of other optional settings here. So things like full schedule, that creates all of the visits right now. Without selecting that, it only creates one visit at a time, and then when you complete that visit, it will then create the next one. And that works the same in contracts. So if you've got 12 visits per year, it'll just keep adding more and more visits when you close the last one. You can fix all visits, so you can say that the technician can't change the dates and times once they've been set. You can schedule weekends. The default is it avoids Saturday and Sunday, but by ticking that box, if the next visit falls on a Saturday and Sunday, it will create it for those days. You can put in the value and the payment method. If you've taken payment, you can always put that in together with any works order numbers and reference numbers for the purchase order. If you want to be more specific, you can add a site location. So the wasp nest is in the shed. You can create inspection items. So if I was going to do a fly killing unit, I could create that fly killing unit ready to inspect. The more you use the system, the more items that are going to be created. So you could just say add all the existing items for this customer to my job. When I tick the box to say create alert, that then allows me to create email alerts for my customers to say you're going to get the finished treatment report when I've done the job. If you don't tick that, they just won't get the PDF automatically, and you can always resend it manually if you need to. You've got some invoicing options here. Leaving it blank says I'm going to invoice when the job's complete. The other option is invoice after the first visit, or invoice every single visit. So create me an invoice every time I complete a visit. Lastly, we're going to assign this visit. If I leave these blank, it will give me a list of all the technicians in my business. I can assign it via a particular territory or a skill, but that does take a little bit of setup. We'll come on to that. I'm going to leave all of these things blank and click next. I've got my schedule owner page, and then I can select my technician. I can select anybody that's going to be helping, so an assistant, and then once I've finished, I can click next, and then that creates the job, shows you the date and time, and then you can click finish. If I just refresh my calendar now, you'll be able to see that job in the calendar. And I can move it around, and I can change the owner, or I can just click into the visit and I can see the details. That's how you create a job. So there was a couple of defaults on that page, such as price books, products, and resources, which we need to create first. If you click onto your setup page, then we're just going to walk through this section here. The first thing you would do is click on your company details. Once you get to the company details page, you can update the company information. So you would put in your company address, telephone number, postcode, and then hit save. To get back, you could just go to your setup menu, click on service tracker, and then you're back to the Service Tracker app. Within setup, there's lots of other options. So you can update your company logo, for example. So if I click on logo, I have to call it logo, and then I can upload a picture from my computer and I make it public so that it's available on all my treatment reports. Save. To get back, you just click on the grid and go back to Service Tracker. I can click on setup again and I can just start going down the list. So I can create a brand new user. So if I've got multiple users I need to set up, I can create first name, last name, email, and then I can say either they're a field user or an admin user. Don't worry about the role, you can just click next and then create your users. This then allows you to create up to 5 users for the demo, or even more if you need to. If I wanted to create just a brand new resource like a subcontractor or maybe some equipment that I want to assign, you can create resources, but just bear in mind these get assigned to the visits. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're physical people, they're users. You need a user to be able to log in and close down visits. Resources though will let you assign work to people. So I'm going to click on resources, I'm going to click on new at the top, and I'm just going to create a brand new resource. I need to assign it to a user so that it'll show in the calendar and it's going to be available on a mobile. If I didn't assign it to a user, that means that is just something I will allocate work to, but I have to be responsible to close it down manually. There's other options here on the resource page: lunch break, starter days, end of days, working days. You can fill all of that information in, but I'm just going to click save and I've created a brand new resource. Back on my setup page now, I'm going to go to my products and services and I'm going to create a 3-part riddance. So I click new, 3-part riddance, and I just make sure it's active. I can put descriptions and product codes in, but ultimately I just want to make sure it's active, and I save. So there's my product. I want to now add that to a price book. So I click on related, I click on add standard price, and then I can put in the price of a 3-part riddance. If I go back to my setup, I can go into my prep and waste this time. I can take a look at anything in this list, so I can go all, it's blank, but I can add my own prep and waste. So I can go into here and I could say DTEX tracing block, make it active, say that's preparation that I'm going to use. I can put in things like active ingredients and concentrations and containers and pictures. I'm just going to be very quick with this, and I'm going to click save. You can add more and more. You can just click new each time and basically create a list of all the prep that you're going to have available to you when you're completing visits. Back on my setup, I can then add territories, price books if I wanted multiple price books. I can import data, and I can create PDF templates. So my service report, for example. We'll come back to this in a sec. You've also got things like system configuration, where you can create skills and resource categories. You can update the pick list values for any drop-down lists you may see. You've also got the ability to do your product management and your prep and waste management from here, and you've got access to reports and dashboards and email templates, things like that. Your custom settings allows you to put in additional details, so your company numbers, for example, VAT, system settings, quote and invoice settings, calendar settings. For example, what time does your calendar start? But basically you're setting some defaults in the background. Okay. And that's pretty much the setup. So work your way through the setup pages, and then what you'll notice is next time you come to maybe create a job, so let's create a brand new job again, just very quickly. We already know this customer exists, so we're going to select it from the list. We're going to say it's the same site, and what you'll see on here now is I've got my 3-part ribbons that I've just created together with the price. If I was to click next, you can also see that I've got Brian Smith in there because I created that person as a resource. And there you go, I've just created a new job that's again available in the calendar, and it'll also be pushed down to a mobile. So I'm putting information in via the calendar. It's the same process if I wanted to create a new contract work. Exactly the same wizard. Select the customer, next, select it from the list, next. Is it the same as the is the site the same as the billing account? Next. But this time I'm not being asked for the number of visits, I'm just being asked for the intervals. If it's just a standard monthly visit, easy, 1 monthly. If it's 8 visits a year, then it's going to be 46 daily. Just pay attention to that. 46 daily is 8 visits per year. Okay. And then I can just carry on, select my technician, and now this time I've created a contract. The difference between a contract and a job is the contract will just keep running and running and running. It'll keep going until you've said, no, I'm going to cancel it. Refresh my calendar, and then you'll be able to see I've got my job visit and I've got my contract visit. The key, again, on the top right hand side is going to show you which one is which. Okay, I want to look at this data now, so I want to pull information out of the system. So I can look at my clients list again, and I can use this to say all clients, for example. This is going to give me a list of all my clients, which I can then click into to view more information. I could click on my contracts, and I could say view all, for example, and there's all my contracts. Same with schedules, show me all, and then there's all my schedules. Same with visits, so I can click on my visits list and I could say, well, show me everything, or I could say show me everything that's completed today, which we've got nothing yet, completed this month, or show me everything that's due this year. These little drop downs that you'll see on all the tabs, they can be created. So I can click on this little cog over here and I could say I want a new view. So I'm going to say visits due this week. I can then decide who I'm going to share this view with, so just for me or everybody, or perhaps I just want to set up an internal group. Give us a call if you need to do that. But I'm going to click save on all users, which is great. It gives me everything. Over on the right hand side, the only filter is all visits. I'm going to add a filter, and I'm going to say with a due date or due start equals this week. Done. Save, and that then gives me all the visits that are due this week. Now I can't see any information. Who's that for? Who's the customer? Who's the technician? I can click on the cog and I can go into my select fields to display. And then I could put in the actual due dates, so due start. I could put in the site name, for example. I could put in the name of the person that's actually going to be doing the work, and perhaps I want to add the visit description as well. You can build up these views depending on the fields that are available by clicking and then clicking on the arrows. So now I've got a view. Here's all my visits, that's when they're due, this is the people who are going to be doing those visits, and basically the visit description of what I'm there to be doing. And every time you go to that tab now, so let's go to visits, you'll see that view is available for you to click for next time. And you can do all sorts with views, it's just subsets of the data, that's what you want to get to. So pulling information out, click on the tabs, look at the views, or you can click on the reports. Again, it'll just show you the recent ones first, but you can click on all reports to look at everything in the system, all folders to have a look at all the different folders and then reports within the folders, or you can use the search. So what I tend to do is click on reports, all reports, and then I might type in visit, which then shows me all my reports based on visits. So let's have a look at all the overdue visits. Click, that opens the report, and then I'm right into the detail. Here's my 2 visits that are overdue. I've got an overdue job visit and I've got an overdue contract visit. Okay, and again I can click into this because it's blue and underlined, and I can actually access the information within the visit. Reports, there's lots of them, so you could say, what's my cycle report looking like? And you can pick on perhaps a particular cycle, so 12 visits or 8 visits or something like that. The way you do that is you can click on the funnel at the top, so filters for example, and you could say show me all my 8 visits per annum visits. Okay. You could change it as well, so you could change the start date. So let's have a look what we've got. Forever. So I've got all of my 8 visits per annum, and it will show me how many visits I got complete, how many's remaining, and the percentage complete. There's so many reports you can run, but you can also create your own reports. There is another tutorial on building reports, so I won't go into that today, but just be aware, reports, new report, it'll give you the ability to then create brand new reports, and it's quite easy as well. Okay, so we got information out of the system, and we've loaded all of our defaults into the system. So creating and completing visits. I want to see per client where all my visits are. So I can go into my clients. I could use the search as well. So I'm going to click on my customer, and this gives me my client record. Customer, phone number, who the owner is, billing address, all the related information such as the contacts. You can always click on new contact if you need to. Actions for that site, so has anybody made any recommendations, new quotes, I can create a quote, any invoices, upload any attachments, it's all there on one page. You've also got activity if you wanted to log a phone call or send an email. If I click on the details tab, this then gives me more information about the customer. So I can see they're on the standard price book, they're active, I can double click where I see a pencil and I can change things, and then I can hit save, or I can hit cancel. So anywhere you see a pencil, double click and you can make changes. In this service tracker section here, you can see all the contracts, the schedules and the visits specific to this particular customer. You can also see all the actions from here as well, recommendations that have been added, any alerts, client attachments, and any changes to the status, such as they've gone from active to on hold and back again. Scrolling on down, you can see the site address, which you can change again by double clicking the pencil. Double clicking the pencil and changing the address. You've also got a few other details, like every time I go to this site they want me to capture a signature, or I need to take a photo, or on the flip side warn me that I can't take a photo. You can put in descriptions, you can put in notification text, so if I put something in here and click save, that then puts a red banner at the top of my page so that next time I view this record I'm alerted to something I need to be aware of. So that's my client page. I'm going to click on my visits, and then I'm going to go into my 3-part riddance that I created, and usually technician out in the field on their mobile phone, they would complete this visit. And again, there's another tutorial on the mobile side if you search YouTube for our mobile app tutorial. But I'm going to cheat. I'm going to come in and I'm going to go edit, and I'm going to add some details into the actual visit. So, what time did I arrive on site? So I'm going to put in today at 12 o'clock. What time did I complete that visit? Today at 2 o'clock. What was the description of the visit? Carry out a wasp nest removal. Did I have any risk assessment questions to answer? Yep, so I've understood the current site risk assessment. I've identified all the risks. I did a quick inspection for my rodents. The works were covered by my safe working practices. I understand the current site method statement. I understand the safe system of work, and I am qualified to perform the treatment. So I just do a quick check. I can put in any hazards that I found. So water, spillage, etc. I can say whether there's any health and safety requirements. I can say if I've listed any environmental risks. I can say any protected species and anything else environmental that I need to be aware of. I can type in my findings. I can spell. And I can put in anything that I actually found when I was on site. You can put in any other pests if they don't appear in the list, or as I mentioned, you can go to your setup, edit your pick lists and add more to this pests found pick list. Putting more details, are there any proofing problems, are there any hygiene problems, what recommendations, what's the level of risk, do I need to go in and do a follow-up? You don't have to put this in if you've already put in 3-part or if you've already done a contract. This is literally if you need an extra visit other than the visits that have already been planned. I can put my payment taken details if I've taken payment on site, and at this stage I click save, check over the details, and then I can double click my status and I can say complete. Again, if you're doing this via the mobile, it'll go through the accepted, journey start, in progress, paused. That will be on the tutorial. We're just going to go straight from open to complete. Save. Now what this does is create a PDF report, and provided you've set up an alert, so when we created our job or a contract we tick the box, then your customer will receive the report. If you forgot to do that, that's not a problem at all. What we need to do is basically go to the site, and then we're going to come down onto our details tab. We're going to come down to our alerts, and we're just going to create a quick alert. So I'm going to say Mike's going to get the report, and I just leave that ticked, so create site alert, so next time I don't have to worry. Mike is now going to get the report for every single job that I put on the system for that particular customer, that is. Save. And I've created an alert, so I don't have to worry then about not getting the report. It's done now. And you can see then if I go to my details tab and I just click on my alerts this time, you can see now Mike is getting that alert. If there's nothing in there, they're not getting the treatment report. Okay. So now that we've set up the alert, we can now go to the visit. So I'm going to scroll down again and go to my visits, and I can look at open, or this time completed visits, and I'm going to click into the visit. Now if you're on a trial, then when you click the view report link, or if you go to the related list and look at your notes and attachments, these will be blank. You need to have a template set up. We can provide you with the code to be able to create a template, or we can do this for you. So let us know. but by default you'll just see the form itself. Okay, so you'll get that if you try and click view. There is another tutorial on how to create service reports. Again, we're here and we're available for you if you need us to create one, but yeah, out of the box we don't have anything set up. It has to be created for you. It's all in HTML, which is the same language you use to generate service web pages. So it's a code which you might be familiar with, but you will have to have it set up. Okay, so once your visit's been completed, now you can run reports about what visits have been completed. You can look at your visit lists and you can say, here is all my completed visits today, for example, or completed visits this week or this month, and you'll be able to see all of that information then by looking at the views and looking at the reports. All you have to do now is just repeat that process. Service Tracker calendar, create all your work, jobs, call-outs, contracts, make sure they're set up as visits, check your client views so you can view details of all of the information, and then on a mobile complete those reports. If you need to make any changes to any contracts or any schedules at any time, go to the client, click on the schedules tab within the client, click onto the schedule, and then this gives me the details of my schedule, so I can change the price. I could change, for example, the frequency and the number of visits per year. I do have little drop downs over here where I could say give me a brand new schedule of visits, or I could just change the owner and I could select somebody else that's going to be doing that work. Okay, that's me just going into a client and updating the schedule. There's lots of other parts to the system which are not shown on the tab bar. You can access them by going into the grid, and then you could go view all. This then has our apps view. We're always going to pick Service Tracker, but you've got all of the items in the system. Dashboards, you've got vehicles and vehicle checks. So you could set up a lot more records in the system just by going to the grid view and entering some details into the system. Just have a play around with it. Explore the system as much as you can, run a few searches, run a few reports, download the mobile app, complete a few visits, and just make sure you're familiar with the system. The more you use it and the more you add information into the system, the more you just get familiar with it. But if there's any questions or you need any help at any time, please just give us a call in the office or email us. Thanks very much.